All right, hi everyone. So today I'm going to be showing you how to use the butterfly nail forms. So just to let you know that we have tried multiple nail forms before we got to this choice. Our original nail form used to be these ones right here. Unfortunately, they didn't stick that much and were not super easy to put in place. So we decided to look for an easier form that would allow for better like adhesion, for example, to the finger, as the blue and silver ones really didn't stick that well. That's it. So let's get around to using it. So I'm going to start by using the Sandwich brush in order to make sure that I'm working on a clean surface. Push the cuticle back. We're going to file the nail surface. So sculpting is a great way to fix broken nails, especially if you have one broken nail, just like this customer has right here. So what I want to do is I want to shape the nail nice and round, because this will help for a better application of the sticker to remove those edges and those corners. I'm going to brush down to make sure all the dust is gone. And again, using the Sandwich brush, I'm going to vaporize on the top of the nail and remove any greasy residue or particles that could be on the nail plate to make sure that I'm really working on a clean, dry, dehydrated surface. This will allow for better adhesion. All right, so moving on, I'm going to be applying the flexi base, which is really the adhesion to our system. So this layer will be covering about 98% of the nail surface, obviously leaving a little bit of an edge at the back, making sure we don't touch the cuticle area. This will allow for better adhesion because gel does not adhere to skin. Okay, so we're going to go for a 30-second cure under the Gelous LED light. And I'm going to clean my brush dry, just like this, because I'm going to be using another type of gel to sculpt. So my sculpting gel is called Sculptex. This one here that I'm using is a clear, kind of fluid gel, and I'm going to be sculpting with this today. We also have an LED version, which is a lower heat version, but I will be using the regular Sculptex for today. So, peeling away the butterfly form, and what's great about it is it has a pre-cut at the back here, so very easy to just open up like this and allow it to recreate the C curve here at the front, which is what I'm trying to match, right? I'm trying to get that exact same shape that we have here at the front. I want to reproduce that with the sticker here. And what I want to do is just slide softly underneath the nail. Often as we're learning this technique, we tend to go too far underneath. Number one, it's very uncomfortable for the customer, and it bends the nail form out of shape. So basically, I'm just pre-forming it like this and just softly applying it, making sure that I cover both corners of the nail. So we want to make sure that the sticker is underneath the natural nail, and then just pinch at the top here, pinch at the front here, and also at the base. Make sure not to squash the form here, because you're really going to change the shape. Don't forget, this form is what's giving the shape of your nail. So if it's upwards, you're going to have like a ski slope kind of shaped nail, and if it's downward, it's going to be like a crow nail. So the way you apply the form is very, very important. So let's have a look at this through different eyes. So what we want to see here, what's very important, is that what I want you to notice is that there's no space, or very little space, between the free edge and the actual form paper. If you have too much space here, gel would actually build up in this area here. So you want it as tight as possible. Sometimes we'll use an instrument like this to just get underneath there and push it upwards to make sure that we have contact. All right. Another thing is make sure those sides, make sure the sticker is below the nail and not on top. So let's have a look at it from the side view here. You can see that, there we go, really covering that side. And let's have a look at this side too. Perfect. All right. So using our Sculptex and the brush, I'm going to be scooping a quantity of gel, a big enough quantity, because this is actually my nail. And what's great about sculpting versus tips is that you can apply the product directly in the shape that you want. So if we look here, we got a kind of like a more almond kind of shape. So this is what we're going to try to reproduce by dropping the big gulp of gel directly onto the nail form, touching a little bit the natural nail, and just swooping onto one side and then swooping onto the other side. There we go. Just slowly dragging the product. Don't be afraid if it's a little wider than you want, because we are going to be filing this. All right, so here we go for a 30-second cure. Now this might have heat because we are using the regular Sculptex. So if your customer does feel heat, she can just slowly remove her hand and put it back in the machine once the heat spike has moved by. So again, to have low heat spikes, you can use the Dell version, which is a cool sculpting version of the Sculptex. So a lot more comfortable for your customers. All right, so let's have a look at this. So obviously this nail has been built, but it's not a very strong nail. If we look at the side of it, it barely has an apex right here. It's not built high enough. So what we're gonna wanna do is we're gonna wanna put another layer right on top. And it's gonna go right on top of the existing Sculptex. And now we're gonna add a gulp right onto the side to really boost and build the apex. There we go. And again, we might feel a little bit of heat here. All right, then we go for another 30 seconds. Don't be afraid to keep adding Sculptex. If you see an area that you've forgotten or you haven't covered that area, just keep adding more. There's no limit to how much Sculptex you can put. And I'd rather have too much of it and just file it down than really not have enough and have a really thin nail and then being afraid that it's just not gonna hold. So I'm gonna wipe this brush clean, all right? So using the tack-free solution, we're going to remove the sculpting paper, right, and wipe the tacky layer away. I wanna show you guys what it looks like from close. It's not perfect, right? It's got little jagged areas and things like that, but that's okay because the Sculptex files down great. And we're gonna shape it using this 100 nail file. You see how easy this is gonna go down. So don't worry if you can't shape these properly in the beginning. The more you do it, the better you'll get it. And trust me, you're going to be sculpting faster than you're going to be applying tip. So what I want to do here is remove all bumps and imperfections. So just glide that file on top of the surface, making sure that you cover everything. All right. Let's make sure that we've blended the area, the back area properly. We're also going to compare it to her other hand to make sure that the shape is similar. So I'm going to ask my client to pull out her nail, and we're going to see how close this is. All right. So pretty close, or it's pretty close to the shape. Don't forget, I'm going to be putting more gel on top of here. So it is going to take some volume. All right. So basically the hard part is done. That's it. We've shaped the nail. And now all we're going to do is reapply another thin layer. I'm going to just blend this with the block at the back. It's a little smoother. Perfect. I'm going to reapply. We're going to reapply a little thin layer of flexi. So I'm just going to brush down the dust here to make sure that I'm working on a clean, dust-free surface. And again, one little layer of flexi. And this layer of flexi, what it allows me to do is that it allows me to have a nice smooth application. If you look closely, let me just see if I can zoom into this area. We can see here at the back, just right here, I've literally filed through the sculpting and maybe even the flexi. And let's not forget, the flexi is the adhesion of the system, so therefore it has to really cover 98% of the nail at all time. So I'm going to apply another thin layer of flexi, and this will allow me to make for a better color application after. Especially that I'm going to be using the number 40 in the color effects, which is kind of a sheer color. I don't want to be working on a surface that's filed because it could affect my color application. All right, here we go. So we go for 30 seconds. Okay, here we go. So that we get 100% of those pigments. This is in the color effects line. Wipe this down and wipe also the brush down because we're changing gels. So the 40 could be kind of a little bit of a translucid color if you want to give your natural nail just like a nice little tint to it, or it could be applied very thick. So this is what it looks like thin. But obviously she's got a thicker layer on here. So let's really put on a much thicker layer. Do not worry, this product is self-leveling, so just want to make sure that it's covering everywhere. She's got on is number 44, which is the pastel blue. And this one was a very popular color this summer. So not much left of that. And to apply the French line, I like to use a square brush. It allows for better lines. So I'll be using square number 6. Like this. All right. And just gonna draw out that line. And just on another note about sculpting, if you decide to start sculpting, just start by doing one broken nail. do not try to attempt to do 10 because it's going to be a lot of work. First of all, it's going to take a really long time, and you probably will not be very, very satisfied of the results. So what I do suggest is just do one nail here and there. And so if it takes a little extra time, that's okay. Your customers won't mind. It's just one nail, and then you're really going to get the hang of it. All right, and we go for 30 seconds. So it's rare that we're going to sculpt all 10, and the hardest thing to do when we do sculpt all 10 fingers is to make them all the same shape, because we got to make sure that we apply this butterfly sticker exactly the same way on all 10 fingers. So they all have to have the same inclination in order to have the same shape. Okay, let's have a look at that blue. So this is like a two-tone French manicure. All right, I think that's looking good. Let's put that in there. I think 2 coats are going to be good. Maybe we'll go for a third. And we're going to finish off with the nail armor. All right. So we want to be generous with this layer here because it's what provides the shine and also the protection of all the color. Make sure you get those sides also. It prevents also the nail and the color from staining. All right, and it is a 1-minute cure because it is the final coat. All right, so using the tack-free, we're going to move the sticky residue. There we go. Don't forget, Gelous products can be filed once they're applied. You do not have the restriction, which makes it great because I find that there's always a little bit of filing that can be done prior to the finish. You know, you want that shape to be just perfect. All right, we're gonna finish off with a little bit of cuticle oil in the H&S brand. Drop that right there. Massage that in. And we're gonna remove the residue so that she doesn't dirty her clothing. So there you have it.